We are at quite the intersection on the everlasting road of American politics. In this hour, it is honestly hard to say whether we will stay on our previous course of democratic values or if this derailment into populist authoritarianism is a new road in which political vehicles must pass through. My name is not relevant. I am an American, and I made political content for over 10 years of my life at varying degrees, and never would I think I'd have to make it in this way, as well in a manner that would obscure my identity. Well, that's just what it is. We're living in an unprecedented time in the United States. We used to think of leaders that acted in the manner that our president does as cartoonish supervillains, out of touch individuals with a serious sense of delusion of grandeur. Now it's common practice. And what's also common practice is for our own elected officials to post downright condescending things at the expense of their own constituents on social media on a daily basis. It doesn't matter if they voted for you or not, you still represent them. See, we didn't see this coming. Growing up, us millennials and our younger Gen Z counterparts, we grew up with the understanding of what totalitarian regimes looked like. You know, we saw film of Maoist China, the Soviet Union, that one time in Germany, and, countless others across the world. We understood it in a physical sense. We saw the flags everywhere. We'd see film in class and hear the propaganda and the state-sponsored music blaring from those streets. The suspiciously armed people who hide their faces. What we weren't prepared for was the possibility of political warfare on the internet. It was so new that it was the first time, really. We weren't even taught about it. Simple memes which hit speaking points in which people, liked. Little thought into the source of the information, the validity of the information, etc. I don't think that we started out like this. I think a lot of this, in my opinion, sits heavily within the realms of internet culture. It must have been 15 years ago. I was a freshman in high school. My first smartphone, an iPhone 4. I think it was the last model that got off a 32-pin style charger head. I was at the tail end of the millennials, the generation that saw the impact of the advancement of information technologies. We just had a very different relationship with memes back then. I remember then they were more so just harmless jokes. They were very self-aware and oftentimes outright obnoxious, as that was just the humor at the time. Though about 11 to 12 years ago, that the consciousness shifted. At the time we were living under the neoliberal, neoconservative, fake dichotomy, the slow crawl to progression. Obama at the time offered hope, and then to many they felt even more abandoned, disenfranchised, and lied to than before. We were promised healthcare that became overcomplicated to get past and became a shell of what it was supposed to be. We saw the wealthy investors and bankers go completely unscathed in 2011. The wars were supposed to stop. They didn't. And Obama, as of right now, has probably one of the most atrocious foreign policies on record for any president, maybe barring Trump. We came so close to the planet class consciousness in this country to fight against these liars and traitors that use such fluffy language. But then the MAGA populism came. It was a high fever in American culture a decade ago. What I don't think foreigners understand about the United States is that it is a complex web of layers, of different realities, of different perceptions, all somehow existing side by side at the same time. Notice, I didn't say they existed peacefully side by side, but they did seem to exist as peacefully as the normalcy at the time would dictate. How do I describe this to people of monocultured nations? The United States is integrated and segregated simultaneously. I can live next to, hang out with, talk to, work with, walk with, let's say in our example, a black man, and this would be seen as completely normal, harmless, and I wouldn't be looked at as odd in almost every context in contemporary America. However, if I was caught with drugs, and if that person was caught with drugs, well, I would likely get a far lighter sentence because of my race. And let me say, I'm not a racist. I don't agree with this nor the system that has existed for generations. I'm just trying to bluntly explain this to those who may not understand. Americans understand things like racism, and trust me, we understand that things like racism are not dead in our country. In my experience, in the northern United States, this occurs behind closed doors if it still happened. It's like the drunk uncle at Thanksgiving dinner going on about all black people do is commit crimes. They never try to better themselves. And just general disgusting or ignorant comments of that sense. And every American white person knows what I'm talking about because they more than likely have at least one or two of these people in their family. It's so common that it's literally an internet meme. Anyways, getting back on point, MAGA was a high fever, a temptation to shift the values and morals of the nation. And back in 2015, Trump was generally seen as someone who would be a great shakeup to the American bureaucratic class and establishment. The wealthy man, fighting against the other wealthy men and women on the behalf of us increasingly impoverished American working class people. Right, how naive of us, and how naive of us to believe it was the lower class who was clogging the system with their quote-unquote neediness or desire for handouts. Well, it was 2015. I was fresh out of high school, young and idiotic enough to believe that I had any real agency to change the society I lived in. I got sucked into a pipeline of hateful men that hated the world, everybody and everything in it, because they had not yet realized that they truly hated themselves. I can already see the shifts, and I hope it wouldn't be too late to reverse the decision our society has made. This regime has totally turned its back on its own supporters. Think about it. You are likely under 35 years old watching this video. You probably don't own a home. You probably live with another person, possibly because of a romantic entanglement, but either way, you probably couldn't do it alone right now. You have no ability to save money, your costs are going up, and your wages are not. Your boss doesn't give a shit about you. You wake up prepared to loathe each day, and all the while you wonder how your grandparents already had 2 kids, a paid-off car, and a paid-off house at your age. Yet your own government, the only one with the agency to really supply you with life-changing money in this very moment, is going to instead offer $10,000 to $100,000 checks to residents of a foreign nation in order to coax them into our country. They are trying to teach people that to request dignity is inconsiderate, it's noisy, that to have freedom is too much danger, because what would you even do with that freedom anyway? They want to team up with the technocrats to build the most surveilled autocracy that this planet has ever seen. I, as an American, am nervous of Donald J. Trump, but I do not see him as a real serious threat. I think he's pretty much on his way out of this world. If not even that, the whole Epstein file pretty much destroyed his legacy, if there was even much of one beforehand. I am worried about all the fascists that use his bloated, oblivious orange carcass as their mouthpiece, as the custodian to their will, the Stephen Miller types, the Elon Musks of the world. Trump is a symptom, but the illness remains.